In the last episode of Pixar's Adventure Park, we finished off the amazing Cars Land. We added in some images to the iconic signs, and we also added some beautiful little lights as well. Hello everyone and welcome back to this episode of Pixar's Adventure Park. In this episode we're going to be moving on to the new area building a Bugs Land. Now before we get into any actual building, I just want to kind of explain what's happening here just in case some of you don't know. So I've said it in my stream a couple of times, but the plan is for this land that it's just going to be a mini land and it is going to occupy this space here. I'll probably only do 2, maybe 3 episodes on this land as it is a really small little area and it will only have maybe 1 or 2 rides as well. So with that said, I think it's time to get started. Now before we do anything, I kind of just want to try and figure out the layout for this land. The 2 rides I'm planning on having in this area are going to be the jumper with the frog skin, because I mean look at this, it looks so good and it's going to fit the land perfectly. And I also want to use the junior coaster with the caterpillar skin. I mean, like, look at these 2 skins, these are like perfect. I don't know what else I could do. So what I'm going to do is get rid of this in the middle, and then I'm going to grab the jumper ride. I think I might put it in the middle here. Maybe something like that could be cool. And then with the path, I'm thinking of just having it kind of come out to the side here. Maybe something like that could work pretty cool. I think what I might do is just move the hopper to the jumper ride just to the side a bit more. Maybe like right there. And then I kind of just want to repeat this on the other side. So let's get started on that. There we go. I think this is just a lot nicer than the original straight path. And honestly, it looks pretty cool. The only issue now is where I'm going to put the station for the main ride. I think it could kind of stay in the same spot, maybe just a bit further back. The only problem is I gotta hide this sort of shell building because we want to keep each zone kind of separate. So at this point in the build, the original plan was to actually build the coaster for the land, but I kind of just couldn't because I suck at building coasters. So I'm not going to worry about building the coaster this episode, but I'll do it in the next episode. This is also a great time to tell you that I have revamped my whole membership system, getting videos out earlier. So if you're interested, then click join down below and let's get back with the video. Bro, I'm sick of this. We're going to work on this next episode. I don't even care what you say. I am done with that ride. All right, so now all we need to do is move on to some decorations and maybe even get the queue and exit for this flat ride done. So the first piece of scenery I think I want to do in this mini land is the actual A Bug's Life entrance sign. So let's quickly do that. Now I'm basing this off the IRL entrance. I don't really know what it is, but I'm just gonna make it because I think it looks cool. It's got some like rock sort of texture at the bottom with then a wooden sort of texture like that. Now what I'm gonna do is copy this over to the other side just like that. And now all I need to do is copy this up and make some sort of like little wooden support, I guess you'll call it, and this will extend all the way across. The next thing I need to do is create a sort of a leaf, which is what they have IRL, and I think this part's going to be just a little difficult, but we can try anyway. First of all, what I'm going to do is just bring this out separately. Bro said turbo.
My name is Turbo.
It's not turbo, unfortunately. Brother, what? I'm thinking to make this leaf, I might be able to use these new primitives. It's so nice to be able to use global snapping because in Cars Land, it's all on an angle, so you can't really use it because it offsets things. So it's so nice to be able to do this again. Now, this isn't the most leaf looking, but it should work just fine. We'll quickly just paint this some sort of leafy color. I think grass and wood. No, that doesn't look good. Salt maybe. I think salt looks good. I'm gonna be honest, it could be worse, it could be better, so we're gonna run with it. We will then copy this. I'm just gonna move this to the side for a bit. Now we can just try and put it in place, and I think with this I'm just going to have to adjust these the slightest bit. Next thing we will do is just copy this and rotate it around. Bro, we got the whole squad joining up. Oh my gosh. And I think that looks pretty good. What I might do though is just add some extra little supports in here to try and cover up this bottom part. There we go. That works nicely. That looks like a leaf. I'm not gonna lie. I'm pretty happy with that. Now, the next thing I need to do is make the big leaf for the centerpiece here, which is gonna have the logo, of course. So let's make that. Now, I don't know how I'm gonna make this because leaves are very weird shapes. So I'm just gonna start with something like that. Maybe we can try using a cube, just kind of like rotating it a bit might work. That looks like a leaf. I could ask anyone what this is, and I think they might say a leaf. I don't know. What we can do as well, which might just help a little bit, is just kind of like add the leaf stem. There we go. That works. What I'm going to make this though is just a darker shade of green than this leaf here, just so it sticks out a bit nicer. We'll grab that, we'll group it, and we can move this into place. There we go. Uh-oh. Why would it select one? Now, the last thing I want to do on the sign is make some cool little vine effects. So let's get working on that. The way I'm going to do this is just by simply making this cube very skinny like that. Then painting it the leaf color. And that should hopefully look really cool. And then some of them, of course, we can rotate just like that. Oh, that looks so clean. Okay, we of course have to do the same on this. And there we go. We got some vines. It looks like it's kind of holding it up just a little bit. We can also grab the same vines and move them to the other side. I feel like this looks really good. It looks like handmade almost, like I guess the bugs made it themselves. And I think that is the sign done. Now, a lot of this land is just going to be trees like everywhere. So it's going to be pretty boring to decorate, I'm going to be honest. So I think the next thing I want to do is this big part that's in the old Bugs Life version, and it is the giant 4-leaf clovers. So let's make those. So the first thing and the most basic thing is we're going to start with a stem that is going to be decently thick, because remember, we are the size of a bug. Next, I'm just going to paint those. Now what we can start to do is go up, and then each time I go up, I'm going to ever so slightly shrink them, and then ever so slightly rotate them to the side. If I keep doing that, we should get a pretty decent little effect going. There we go, and that's a decent little stem. So now all we need to do is the, what do you call them? The leaves of them, the clovers. So let's get started with that. So I'm thinking something at this size will be pretty good, but the 4-leaf clovers kind of like have like almost like a heart shape. Just like that. They look a bit funky, but it's fine. They'll work well. Let's see how these look. These are gonna either look pretty good or pretty goofy, so they're not bad. They're not bad. I think I can fix these a little bit just by changing the colors up, maybe. If I'll make these leaves just darker, it might look a bit nicer. And then what I also might do is just like have the leaves kind of bending down a bit, because I feel like they kind of look really goofy without that. There we go. I think that looks a lot better. Simple little fix. Now we have a little simple and effective 4-leaf clover. So I'm going to place some of these around. I think put one there, maybe shrink one just a little bit, put it here. I don't want to place too many of these because I still don't know where the ride is going to go, so a lot of these are probably going to get changed anyway. And now that we got that, I think I'm going to work on the floor here. And that is just going to be a lot of dirt placing. And then after this, I think I want to get the trees into place. Now, what I'm going to do, as I just said before, is start placing trees. But before I do that, I want to change the color of the leaves to more cartoony, greenish color, kind of like the rest of the land will be, just so it looks a bit more natural. But before I get onto placing the trees around here, I actually just quickly want to make the sort of ride itself, I guess, or decorate the flat ride. So let's get started with that. So first thing I want to do is make the queue. So we'll quickly just make some sort of path for that. Now all I need to do is kind of just start placing the paths around. So now all I need to do is make a little queue. Now this is a kid's ride, so the queue's not going to be too big. I'm going to kind of just have it come around this clover over here. Then I'm going to have it come back around. And then around about this point, I'm just going to try and start getting it to line up to here for the actual entrance of the ride. Just like that. There we go. It's a simple little queue, but it works pretty well. The next thing I want to do is just copy this onto the other side for the exit of the queue. The next thing I want to do is just grab all of this and copy it so we can have the exit path pretty much already made. Put that maybe just here. simple like that. Now, the next thing I need to do for these queue paths is going to be the most painful thing, and that is adding these fences in place. And the fences I kind of want to go for are like rustic, sort of like wooden fence, like they're made of little twigs. It's sort of the idea that I'm going for. I'm also going to add like a little bit of like rope, I guess you'll call it, to the fences just for some added detail. And something like that should work pretty well. Now, all I need to do is group this and start placing these poles every maybe like, I don't know, meter, I guess. Oh, gosh, that took quite a while just doing the poles, but now I gotta do the actual like fences in between each pole, I guess you'll call them. So let's get started with that. Now, the reason I didn't put these in before is because I want these to feel quite randomized, like it's handmade. So I want to be able to just do some simple things like rotating them to the side. I think that should add such a cool looking effect. So I need to now place all of these single fence poles, so I will be right back with you. Alright, so I have finished all the fencing along here. It looks pretty nice, but now I gotta do the dreaded fencing on the ride. I'm thinking of doing maybe like a circle fence, could look pretty cool. So let's get started with that. Actually, what I might do is I'm going to do it over here just where I have more room, just because it will just be easier if I can just copy it in a little later. So we'll just chuck that in there. I'll come grab this fence, put it around about here, I think should be good. And then what I'm going to do is copy this. Now, what I need to do is get this set up so the fences work smoothly. And I'm hoping just like that should work perfectly. So let's group this. And we can start to spin this around and hopefully it works nicely. That is working really nicely. We just gotta hope it matches back up perfectly. Oh yeah, okay, that is sick. Now that we got that fence done, that was a lot easier than I thought it would be. We just gotta copy it and put it into place with the actual ride. We wanna try and get this as centered as possible as well. Done. Easy fences, easy, easy, easy. Next, I just wanna get this floor into place. This is going to be really difficult to do. Oh, well, this is starting to finally come together. I don't know how much I've been narrating. I don't think it's much at all, but oh well. So I've got the floor in now, the concrete floor, and it looks really nice. I mean, custom flat rides. I mean, look at this. This is kind of sick. The only problem is we can't have it open. The testing thing gets hidden inside of this log. That is just beautiful. Okay, I can't even lie. This is such a clean flat ride. It doesn't even look like a flat ride. I mean, it is a flat ride, but you get what I mean. It doesn't look like one of the normal flat rides in the game. Now, all I really need to do is just kind of make way for the entrance queue, and we gotta just fill this in with wooden planks. Now that I've got all this lined up for the entrance, all I really need to do is get the exit looking nice, so I'm gonna do that now. I'll be back with you once I've done that. Well, I think for the most part the flat ride is pretty much done. Now what I want to do is just start to decorate it just a little bit, so let's get started with that. Of course, I'm going to just be using these trees and spamming these pretty much everywhere behind it so you cannot see the cars land desert. Now, these trees are honestly just going to be temporary as well, because the coast is probably going to come back through here behind the ride, which would be a pretty cool little idea. And another thing I'd like to do is make some little bushes, cover some little imperfections up. I don't think this episode's going to be the longest episode, because really before I can do anything else, I've got to finish off the freaking ride. The next thing I want to do is make a little quick service restaurant, somewhere where you can order just a little snack of food, not like an actual restaurant, but somewhere where you go up and you order and you take it away to eat. I think it will go well maybe around about here. And the idea for this is I want you to order out of a life-size can, and it may not make sense what I'm talking about, but I'll quickly make it so I can show you. So since it is a can, we're going to start with a pretty decent little base like that. Now that I got this, all I need to do is place these all of the way around, just like that. That looks pretty good. The next thing I need to do is make these like a grey sort of metal. Then around about here, I'm going to start to do some of these grooves that you see in a can. Then on the top here, I need to make the lid. Something like that should work fine. Now, I think that's pretty good. I just want to see what it'd look like if I made a can of beans. Well, I've got the basic shape of a little, like, I guess you would call this a baked beans container. Now what I gotta do is just make beans, the beans name, before I do that, what I'm going to do is just make some beans. Now I've made a little bean shape, so what I gotta do is just copy these around just a little bit. I've got a couple beans on this can now. All I need to do is make a sign that says beans. I now have the text made. All I need to do is now put it onto the can, which is going to be just a little bit painful, but let's work on that. For anything, I just gotta quickly make these white, of course, and then we can start putting these into place. But I think for this to fit, it's gonna be a lot smaller. There we go, that looks like it'll fit. We have to start with the B, of course. Oh gosh, this is still not gonna fit. I'll be honest, that works. Now we'll group that, and we will also group this, and now we can move these into place. So the beans, I think I want to have them kind of stood up, maybe here in view would be pretty cool. And then this silver can, I'm gonna copy this over. I'm gonna lay it down kind of somewhere maybe like this. I'll move this can of beans closer. Okay, now what I want to do is make some windows so people can order the food out of. Next, what I'm going to do is just make these little counters kind of like that. Now we kind of got to work on the inside of the cone a bit. What I'm going to do is just make a little area where I can just squeeze in. There we go. We got to actually make a floor, of course, for the workers. I'll also add a roof in. Not only that, I'll grab a ceiling light, put that in here as well. The inside's going to be pretty basic. And then I think along this wall, what I'm going to do is just place down a bunch of little cans of beans so we can do that. And just like that, we've got a little can of beans that we're just going to copy around, I guess, just randomly in the back here. I think the last little thing I want to do in here is add a door for the employees to actually be able to escape from. Right there, like that. Pretty simple interior, but it works nicely. That is such, that looks so, oh dude, that looks so cool when you zoom out. I'm not gonna even lie, I'm really happy with that. Now what do I need to do? I need to grab the cash registers and put those into place. There we go. So you come up here, you order your beans, you get them, and you walk away and you eat them. Very cool. Oh, I'm so freaking happy with that. That looks so clean. I think one thing I want to do though is I'm gonna make the lid of this a darker color just so you're able to see it a bit more clearly. I think looks nicer. I might also do the same with all these little extra little ridges and details just because it makes it look a little nicer. There we go. That looks pretty sick. I'm also just gonna paint the top of the beans here. I think that's a pretty smart idea for a little restaurant, and I'm pretty happy with it. And with these beans now in place, I think I've done enough for the episode. I didn't do too much this episode, and that's for two reasons. The first one being this land is very small, and I don't want to do too much because I want the next episode to have like some content as well. And also the fact that my videos have been too long recently. Then each episode was like maybe 20+ minutes long, which is not what the plan was originally. So I'm going to try and make shorter episodes, as in like maybe 15 to 20 instead of being over 20. But with that done, thanks so much for watching. In the next episode, we're going to build the ride and finish off the land, most likely. And I'll see you then in the next episode of Pixar's Adventure Park.